Oh my God. That was amazing. Wow. I have just watched the 150 meter hop of the SN5 Starship prototype and I speechless, mind blown. So today I'm picking up Jasper and we're going to head off to a friend's house. I'm also charging my car up to 100%, mainly so I can avoid the traffic, but also because it hasn't been to 100% for a long time. And actually I just want to sort of see what that range is when I get right the way up there. But we're not really going to be talking about my car today. I'm afraid today is going to be SpaceX because, like I said, mind blown. Yep, we've picked up Jasper. I wonder what he thinks about the SN5 150 meter hop.
What is that?
That is a prototype Starship. See how it's flying? You see the rocket engine coming out the bottom, the flame.
Why is it going that way?
Because the rocket engine isn't quite in the centre. It's slightly off to one side, so the flame has to go slightly off to one side to balance it. Check it, it's going to land in a minute. This is the, this is own, well
Is it going to explode?
No, I don't think so. Look, that's the rocket engine inside that's doing all the flying.
Well, I like the look of the rocket engine.
It's cool, isn't it, that purple flame? Do you know why it's that colour?
No.
Because the fuel it uses is a gas called methane. That's quite cool, huh? That is so that's a prototype, Jasper. They were flying that for the first time.
But what about the capsule?
Oh, the capsule landed, didn't it? And the astronauts came back safely.
No, the capsule of the rocket that I just saw.
Oh, that doesn't have a capsule yet. That's actually going to be a spaceship, so eventually that's going all the way to orbit with people on board. Although it won't look quite like that. It'll be pointy on the end when they're finished making it and designing it. And it's going to have flaps so that it can re-enter through the atmosphere safely. And it's going to have 6 engines at the bottom instead of just 1.
But there was just 1.
I know, because they were just testing it with 1. But eventually it's going to have 6. Whoa. Alrighty. I make notes on my phone at the moment using this Simple mind map software. It's I find it quite handy, although I've had to create a more linear flow for things. Right, so what am I supposed to be talking about today? Oh yes. When I saw this SpaceX rocket Starship prototype take off, it really feels to me like I'm watching the genesis of an entire new type of vehicle. I think I've probably said this before, but that really is what it fundamentally is. And I love that blue flame that you get out the bottom. Brilliant. Is it blue? Well, kind of purplish sort of flame. The methane flame with its Mac diamonds. Stunning, beautiful, and not something that you actually see on a rocket for the most part, because this is only the second time that a methane-powered engine has ever actually left the surface of the planet. The first one being the original Starhopper. Although I'm pretty sure that methane engines are going to be a big thing in the future, partly because of Blue Origin and their BE4 engine. Is it the BE4? Yeah, I believe so. And that tank, so huge. It's just like, blows my mind quite how big that is. And to see it sort of tilted over like that so that the centre of mass sits above the engine, and the fact that the engine's got enough gimbal range in it that it can actually operate in that off-centre fashion. I wonder if they had to, reconfigure the way the gimbal setup worked specifically for this hop. I don't think they did. I think it actually is just within the gimbal range. I guess it's probably going to need quite a good gimbal range with those engines, because of course those are the engines which are actually going to help Starship to land after it's come back from orbit eventually. I've got to admit though, The entire time I watched that flight, I was just waiting for the thing to explode. So the fact that it managed to land without exploding, well, all this kind of leads to the question, what is SpaceX really up to? I remember watching a very interesting YouTube video about a tour of the Boeing rocket factory, but it doesn't look anything like Boca Chica in Texas. In short, they are building a massive, great spaceship factory. And the reason is because that way they're going to have loads of these things, and the economy of scale behind building them means that they won't be that expensive, which, if you're going to keep them, is very important, because it means all you're really looking at is the fuel, and that's how you start to get down to that sort of aspirational figure that Elon Musk was talking about a while ago of $2 million per launch for 100 tons into low Earth orbit. That is just insanely cheap. What?
Coming down.
So hot. It's hopping 150 meters.
Just up and down.
Yeah, they're,
Like that.
they're testing it. They're testing the tank. They're testing the engine. You know, and the actual tank is designed to take 3 engines.
Yeah.
Which is why it was off to one side.
Yeah.
Because their one engine had to balance with the centre of mass.
Right.
If you see what I mean. I'm struggling, which is ironic given that I'm supposed to do a video about this today. I'm actually struggling to find the words to describe how awesome it is. Because you're really seeing the creation of the first real spacecraft.
Yeah.
You know, everything that's been designed so far, with the notable exception of the Falcon 9 booster, isn't really a rocket. It's just the best they could do with their available technology. And now, you know, what you're seeing there is real rocket technology. Wow. I'm so excited about the whole subject, because it's like the future actually happening. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it, but neither of us have been alive when a person has been on the moon.
No. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, you think of landing on the moon, that sounds like quite a futuristic, exciting thing to be doing, right? But actually, it's something from our distant past now.
Yeah.
But we're getting there, thanks to SpaceX. They take the big risks. I mean, you know, NASA would never do this, build stainless steel tank after stainless steel tank, only to have them blow up or rupture or leak. Does he give up? No. All he does is he just makes sure that the factory that builds these things can build them even quicker. He's not normal. Elon Musk is not a normal chap at all. I just wondered what your reaction would be to it.
That was actually, I love that.
So why is it important to people what SpaceX is doing in Texas? Why should you care? I would imagine that this is a very similar situation to shortly after the Wright brothers' flight. I mean, let's face it, that plane was not really very useful. You could easily look at that and go, well, that's nice, that'll be a nice toy, but it's not exactly going to change the world. But of course, flight did change the world in so many ways that couldn't easily have been predicted back at the genesis of powered flight. And I feel it's a very similar thing with space. We don't really know what the possibilities in space are because we can't explore them, because we don't really have proper access to space. The only way to get there is to build and expend one of the most beautifully crafted and finely tuned machines ever made by man. It wouldn't matter if there were piles of gold circling the Earth in orbit. There'd be no economic value in returning that gold to the planet. But the reason for that is because we don't have a proper vehicle that takes us to space. And that's where this Starship comes in. And that's why I'm so excited by seeing this hop. You see, that's the thing about space. Space is functionally infinite. You have an infinite amount of resources, an infinite amount of energy, and an infinite amount of space, of course. And as it turns out, These three things are the things that we tend to fight basically all wars over. In terms of the sort of medium to long-term future for our species, this has got to be a step that we need to take. And I also strongly believe that most of the technologies that will support space travel beyond low Earth orbit are exactly the kind of technologies that we need in order to actually make living on this planet a doable thing for 7 billion odd human beings. And besides, the amount of money that's sunk into space is a tiny fraction of what gets sunk into lipstick. So, as a species, maybe it is worth taking a punt on that. So in conclusion, the future is bright. And as it turns out, shiny. All right, just while I wrap this up, I want to say a massive thank you for all of these suggestions and the support that I received in response to my previous video. Very helpful. There's lots of great stuff there, and I'm going to be using that. I've actually got a bit of a plan that I'm sort of working out for how I want things to be, but that's not going to kick off for probably about another month or so, because I've still got Jasper to look after, and it's the summer holidays, and I very much want to be spending my time with him at the moment. So although I'm going to be putting out some videos, the proper relaunch of my channel, if you like, is probably going to be more in a month's time, sort of beginning of September, once Jasper's back at school and I can properly plan and organise my weeks. Okay, well, I hope you've all enjoyed today's video and found it interesting and fun. If you have, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. The links are in the description if you don't already, and I will see you in the next episode of my vlog. Bye! And then it might, careful, and then it might...
Okay.
Yes, I know, is the car okay? Yes, the car's fine, but try not to do that too many times. But yeah, so, what was I saying? Wow, what more can I say? I'm like, maybe I should just stop the video here, because I am without words.